What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Taste Like Music. Jason and Joe here, 1984 Deep Dive Week. And today we are doing our top 25 songs each. And we're going to take turns back and forth from 25 through 1. I will kick us off. My number 25, I mentioned this being here in the other video. It's Elvis Costello. And I believe it's the closing track to Goodbye Cruel World. It is Peace in Our Time. Yeah, one of several great tracks on that record. And yeah, really, really strong. And this made my Songs of the Year list in the original Songs of the Year video. Just, yeah, good songwriting. Elvis taking shots at Reagan. He calls him a spaceman. And yeah, classic Elvis Costello.
Believe for a large segment of our audience, the exclusion of this band is, might as well be child murderers or something by not mentioning it. They're going to get one mention, all right? REM. I will mention them one time, number 25. Pretty Persuasion is my song on my list. Really dug it lately. I don't always hear the Byrds influence in early REM. I think it's a little overstated, but you definitely hear it on this one. You got a really gorgeous 12-string aping. It's not 12-string, but it sounds like it. Guitar intro and some real lovely harmonies in the verses. And then the chorus kind of bolts you right into 80s college rock territory. But it's a really good fusion, I think, of the two styles and the two things that they, made their own. And it's dang catchy to boot.
Very cool. Number 24 for me is Harder by Box of Frogs. Just a cool AOR rock song. For a bunch of for a bunch of 60s and 70s rockers, finding a way to make a very 80s sound work for them. It's cool to hear. You get a guest guitar solo from Ray Major of Mott, and it's a killer solo. It's one of the highlights of the whole record, which is impressive considering there are some other solos from Jeff Beck and Rory Gallagher, bigger name guitarist than Ray Major. So yeah, it's a song that I can imagine hearing on like a classic rock station in the 80s or 90s, even though I imagine probably did get some play when it first came out, but it has not been heard since.
All right. Number 24, I'm going to go with Joe Jackson. You can't get what you want until you know what you want. My favorite track from Body and Soul. Lovely blending of sophisti-pop, jazz, a little funk on there. It's kind of like a lighter take on Steely Dan, I think. Less of that venom and vinegar, a little sweeter. But the arrangement's perfect and the playing is excellent across the board.
Cool. Number 23 for me is Spirit Walker by the Cult. Love early Cult stuff. Ian Astbury is great. Love the high harmonies on this track. There's great guitar lines from Billy Duffy, and Nigel Preston just pounding the crap out of his tom drums.
All right, number 23, we're going to get a little bit of country on here. I'm going with You're Dancing This Dance All Wrong by George Strait. Very good four-star album for me. Does Fort Worth ever cross your mind? Just missed. Well, that didn't just miss, but it was in my top 50. And I love this one. Beautifully simple concept, dancing with a new lover to an old lover's song. I think that's a really cool concept for a country song. The lyrics are real simple but perfect, and you got some aching pedal steel and Strait's, unimitable vocals. Just a perfect classic country sounding song.
Number 22 is the first of two appearances for the Smiths. I've got Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now. The Smiths have a bunch of good songs in 84, but the line, I was looking for a job, then I found a job, and Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now. That might be my favorite Morrissey lyric that he ever wrote. I think it's so funny. The bass on this is great. Andy Rourke, I think, is very underrated as a bass player. Just some really unique lines and like some strange fills, and it sounds like there's moments where he's like playing some chordal stuff even, and it's just really cool. So yeah.
Yeah, I probably should have more Smiths on my list, to be honest. But I don't. Number 22, an appearance from Bruce Springsteen, Cover Me. This is like a dusty leather and gasoline smelling song. Just a straightforward driving boot kicker from Born in the USA. Maybe my favorite Bruce guitar solo. It's really good. It's really effective, really cool. And all of that is really weird because he wrote the song for Donna Summer. So why it's such a butt kicker, I have no idea. But I'm glad he kept it for himself.
Well, that's interesting because my number 21 is also Bruce. Cover Me was the song that made my top 10 when we did the top 10 Bruce songs. That was the only selection I had from Born in the USA. This time I've switched it to Bobby Jean, which is actually very similar. They both have those like 3 syllable chorus, Bobby Jean, Cover Me. Kind of similar songs. Yeah, this one is it just really jumped out at me this time. Like I think I mentioned that in either mine or your video. And it's very Born to Run. I think that's why I'm drawn to it. It doesn't feel like it was written for this record. It feels like it was like a 70s leftover or something. And the piano on it's really great. And I like the chorus a lot. So yeah.
21 is from an album that didn't make my list. It made your list, though. But I'm not quite as high on this record, but I do love this song. The Ice Queen from the Stranglers. It's I freaking love this song. It's weirdly like sophista-poppy. The synth sounds that they get, there's like four different synth sounds, and they're like so icy, but I just absolutely love every one of them. They're so cool, so unique. I know we say unique every 10 minutes, but I've really never heard synths like this. Like real sparse guitars, that luxurious driving bass. I love that bass tone on here. And then halfway through the song, there's like this just horns popping in. It's just an odd song. The structure is weird. It kind of fades out. It has like a fake ending and then comes back in a comes like back in and really cool and kind of rides itself out. But just a really cool song. I wish everything on Oral Structure was like that because I'd love the album if it was.
My number 20 is Hold Me Now by the Thompson Twins. Great bass work by Tom Bailey here. Falsetto vocals near the end are glorious. I think it's like an all-time moment in pop music. And it's like a classic like 50s song almost or 60s. It's just very 80s-ified in the production, but the song itself I think is just super solid, just classic pop writing, and it works really well. I wish the rest of the record was as good. It is not, but killer song.
All right, number 20, another album that didn't make my list. This is a weird songs list for me. There was so many songs. My playlist for this year is like 140 deep, and I don't even think that could cover everything I love from this year. Number 20, though, for me is going to be Unsatisfied from The Replacements. I don't, this might be the only mention of The Replacements. People are going to be like, where's Cramser? He'd have it on his list. I'm giving you a little bit. All right, I'm giving you tastes here. Love Unsatisfied. I love that intro. It's a total ripoff of Maggie May or Wear It Well, which was a ripoff of Maggie May. So we'll just say it's a ripoff of Maggie May. That 12-string intro from Bob Stinson, just marvelous. And then I think, on top of that, it's the very best ballad from Westerberg that he ever wrote. His vocals just scraping their limits, just really heartfelt and powerful. I feel the dissatisfaction in him, and I feel the dissatisfaction in myself.
Number 19 for me is Perfect Strangers by Deep Purple. One of the best side two openers ever, that menacing organ to open up, and just the way the pre-chorus lifts into the chorus, I think is incredible. Blackmore plays some incredible leads behind the like vocal melody in the chorus, which is like something most bands wouldn't do, typically like stay out of the way of the vocal melody, especially in the chorus. But Blackmore's just like playing right behind him, like stepping all over him, and it works. It's awesome. The bridge riff is so killer. It could have been like a song into itself. They could have built a whole song around that. Dun 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 dun. It's just, it's awesome. I think it's a great tune.
Yeah, it's a couple great ones on that album. Didn't make my list, but certainly considered. 19 for me, I got Magic from the Cars, and picking a winner from Heartbeat City. I could have picked any of the singles. I almost picked Heartbeat City, the title track, because it's kind of dark and mysterious, but Magic is just so happy, and it makes me happy when I listen to it, and it always has. It's so joyous. I love it. Makes me feel good.
All right, number 18 for me. I was real One of my big discoveries of the 82 deep dive was the Ultravox record Quartet. I was a little let down by their 84 record. Not quite as into it, but the song One Small Day really stood out as a highlight on Lament. Really soaring open chorus. And I dig the guitar tones on it a lot as well. Really reminds me a lot of like Flock of Seagulls or something like that. Yeah, really, really strong song. Wasn't quite as high on the rest of the record, but yeah.
Okay, my number 18. I'm gonna go with Lovers in a Dangerous Time from Bruce Coburn, Canadian artist's album. Stealing Fire, interesting mix of like folk. He was basically a folk artist with some 80s production. It's good, but this song really stands out as like the best one on it. Just that intersection of like a folk song written for like 80s instruments is pretty cool. I think it works really well here. A nice fusion of a pop and folk. And it's just a really beautifully sung, beautiful melody. Yeah, really, really enjoyed it this week, especially, or this month, or however long this deep dive is going.
Number 17 is Between the Wheels from Rush. Those synths are so cool in the beginning, apocalyptic, very icy and cold. And then Life's In comes ripping, like piercing through the mix, killer guitar lead. And it's a song about letting life pass you by, being distracted by technology. And, this is 1984. You got the line soaking in the cathode rays, referring to TV sets and being stuck to our televisions. And very relevant song now, but man, just the darkness and the iciness of it is so cool.
Yeah, it's on rules. 17, Dress You Up, Madonna. Little Madonna mention here. This is my favorite from Like a Virgin by far, produced by Nile Rodgers. He's got that, trademark percussive Nile Rodgers guitar work that he brought along from Chic. And then he just drops this absolutely ripping guitar solo right in the middle. Like, didn't think he could do that, and he does. And it really dresses the song up. It elevates it from very good to great. And Madonna's there too.
Number 16 for me is Lentil Nightmare by Neil. This song is so ridiculous. I encourage anyone to check it out. It's my favorite metal song of 1984. It totally rolls. It's a total Black Sabbath like pastiche. It's basically ripping off the song Black Sabbath, but with Neil at the top of his vocal range, sounding more like Rob Halford than Ozzy, and it's so insane and so dumb, but it really is. It's one of my favorite hard rock songs of the year. It's really cool.
Okay, well, I need to listen to it, so I will after this video. Hopefully, it doesn't, displace one of these metal bands from my list. Speaking of first metal appearance, I guess other than Lentil Nightmare, 2 minutes to midnight, slightly different metal here. Iron Maiden. This one's just a barn burner. It's fast and furious, propulsive bass line throughout. Some of my favorite Bruce Dickinson vocals. It's 6 minutes of pure adrenaline. I think when I first, well, not when I first started, but when I started playing bass and getting a little more serious and moved on to some more metal stuff, I was looking through the song list. And I was like, I can't play this. I can't play this. I might be able to play 2 minutes to midnight. So I learned this one first, and just amazing bass line. Love Steve Harris. He's the best.
All right, very different from Lentil Nightmare. My number 15 is Just Like the USA by Aztec Camera. Great writing by Roddy Frame, production from Mark Knopfler. Love all the little, like, small guitar leads, like 1 and 2 note little flourishes. I love the little pauses when he sings "Cause I Know," and then like the song like is catapulted out of that little break and kind of shot forward. It's really simple, effective arranging, and it's a good song.
All right, 15. I got Plastic Love by Maria Takeuchi, written by her, produced by Tetsuro Yamashita, the great city pop, pioneer. Perhaps the, ideal city pop song. This is like what people think of if they know what city pop sounds like. They're like, okay, Plastic Love. And it was responsible for the rediscovery of the whole genre here in the US. And it's a great song. It's immaculately produced and played. Sophisticated, yacht, rock, pop, funk, kind of weird fusion, extremely smooth. But I think it maintains its soul thanks to Takeuchi's just heartstring tugging vocals. Yeah, it's great.
Number 14 is I Would Die For You. Uh, it's really all about that synth. It's a good song, but without that synth, I mean, that synth is just driving, pulsing the song forward, giving it a groove. Just really, really awesome. Sounds great. I really like the rhythmic cadence too of the vocals in the chorus. The you, I would die for you. Um, Kind of staccato and choppy for a pop song, but super hooky, super catchy.
Yes, it is. That'll be on my list. I'm not gonna lie to you. Number 14, I'm gonna go Couldn't Stand the Weather, Stevie Ray Vaughan. All about the guitar work here, duh. My favorite of his guitar playing. It's incendiary. And he's not doing anything like out of this world. Like he's not shredding, but it's just so beautiful sounding. The way the things he can, conjure out of that guitar is just amazing to me. And not to be forgotten, Chris Layton, Tommy Shannon on the rhythm section, much like Noel Redding and Mitchell did for Jimi Hendrix. They just provide the perfect bass and accompaniment for Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Number 13 for me is Heaven by Psychedelic Furs. Another song with like a really propulsive driving synth underneath. I think it's just awesome. Pure 80s. Butler's voice, I think, is super cool. The grit in it when he's holding out the word heaven. It's like, I don't know, there's something strange about his voice. It's like almost like Velcro being pulled apart or something. It's very, very weird, but I like it a lot. And I don't think of the Psychedelic Furs much as like a guitar solo type of band, but this song has a really, really cool guitar solo on it.
Number 13, I've got Tenderness, General Public. First heard this on the Clueless soundtrack, which in hindsight was a very formative album for me because I love every song on there. Like that is a hell of a soundtrack. And this tune, another just really happy, joyful, put a smile on your face kind of song. That chimey guitar intro, super catchy. You got the intertwined vocals, all that wonderful falsetto, the hand claps. It's a perfect pop confection.
People are going to get mad at me for this one. They just got mad at me the other day for singing its praises in one of our tier list videos. It's I Got God Only Knows by David Bowie. I stand firmly by the assertion that it's incredible. I think it's a brilliant reimagining of the song. It's so different. His vocal approach compared to Carl Wilson's is just like opposite almost, but somehow still makes the song work. Quintessentially Bowie, just like crooning and cool, and the way he like flips his voice up into a higher register when he says the word stars is so freaking cool. There's so much talk of him as like an artist that I think people like totally don't even think about him as a vocalist, and I just think he is an incredible singer and a great interpreter. I like his covers a lot usually, so.
That will be controversial. That is for sure. Woo. My number 12, I'm gonna go with Chaka Khan. I Feel For You. Chaka Khan was a very bad Melly Mel impression. But this is a great song. It's a Prince song, but a Prince song that's not that good. Like it's pretty average, the Prince version on his second album back in 79. This one is so much cooler. You got the Melly Mel intro, the rap, just one of the most recognizable rap parts of its day for sure. Got Stevie Wonder chipping in on harmonica. And just, I love the way it's reworked and love the way that Chaka sings it. And it's just a huge step up. It's, 10 times better than the Prince version. I absolutely love it.
Well, here they are on my songs list as well. I've got A Sort of Homecoming by U2. My favorite U2 song. I think now after doing the deep dive. It feels so vast and expansive. I love the rhythm section on it. The drumming on it is fantastic. Bono soars over it. And Edge is there, like filling in all the spaces, and it's just a really epic sounding track.
Number 11, I got Oh Sherry, Steve Perry by Steve Perry. It's Oh Sherry by Steve Perry. His solo album, Street Talk. It's not a great album, but Oh Sherry is a great song. It's just all about his voice. And I don't know if he's ever sounded quite as good as he does on Oh Sherry, just blasting out that unaccompanied intro where it's just his voice. Uh, chills down my spine. And a pretty memorable little guitar part from Waddy Wachtel as well.
Number 10, I've got Tinseltown in the Rain by the Blue Nile. I think it's an immaculate track. Killer bass playing on it. And I really love that like phasey, muted guitar thing, just kind of like scratching over the strings, but really pushing the song along a lot like, some of the synths we've talked about, those like propulsive synths. He's using the guitar to do the same thing here, kind of like a shaker. Amazing vocal performance too from Paul Buchanan and just masterful production all around. I think it sounds pretty much perfect. So
Okay. I got number 10. I feel bad because this is my last metal song, and I feel like I've shortchanged metal a little bit, but I didn't want too many repeats. So I don't know. It might not really be my list. There might be some metal songs on here from Priest and Maiden. But number 10 is gonna be Love Bites, Judas Priest. This one's a really cool change up from the usual Priest. Real slow burner. Has a really cool, like hypnotically repetitive bass line. And yeah, it just like mesmerizes you. And it sounds like it could be like a soundtrack to like a vampire movie, which is really cool. And just a lot of feel on the guitar solo. It's very atmospheric, not a lot of shredding. Just a really unique, interesting tune from JP.
my number 9 is Back on the Chain Gang by Pretenders. Pretty sure that this dropped as a single in '83, actually, but it's on the '84 album, so I'm counting it. Just what an incredible guitar lead at the top of the song, and then kind of like hands the ball off to the great vocal melody, and then you get to the ooh ah section, and then there's always like some new point of interest. When you get to the end of one melodic thing, it shifts to another thing that's very catchy as well. So the whole song just kind of like pulls you through it with these great memorable hooks. So great song.
Number 9, another this is maybe the power ballad of all power ballads. Against all odds, take a look at me now. Phil Collins's weepiest, cheesiest power ballad ever. Uh, Maybe the most powerful power ballad of the whole decade. But I love every second of it. I love the over-the-top melodramatic vocals, the absolutely massive gated reverb on the drums. Like it is just thick as it ever could be. Masterpiece of 80s-ness, everything that makes the 80s, cheesy and people hate it because of it. I love it. And fun fact, it's also the RZA, not the Jizza, the RZA's favorite power ballad ever. Thought that was pretty cool.
Uh, Number 8 for me is Crybaby by Utopia, which I think is a perfect power pop song. Technically one of Utopia's biggest hits. It was number 30 on the modern rock tracks. Willie Wilcox's electric drum kit, I think, gives the song such a unique sound. It's just got an all-time great pre-chorus. The way that it launches you into the harmonies of the chorus is incredible. Not one of Todd's greatest songs ever, but it is so damn catchy. It's such an earworm.
All right, number 8, you had it on your list, and I love it. Between the Wheels by Rush. Yeah, it's all about that synth, that icy, frigid 80s synth to kick it off. I love the chords they're doing there. And then Lifeson just blazes in with I don't want to say it's my favorite like Lifeson guitar part, but I absolutely love what he does there. His solo in the middle as well. Love the lyrics. I love the playing all around. It's just a really cool take on like the Police mixed with what Rush was already doing with their dalliances with synths on the signals. It's a really cool combination there.
Number 7 for me is How Soon Is Now by the Smiths, possibly the most distinctly different sounding song in their whole catalog. I think a lot of their material sounds similar. I don't want to say exactly the same, but they got a lot of great songs. But this one sounds more different than almost anything else they've ever done. And possibly if you take Morrissey off of this track, I don't know that I would guess that it was the Smiths. The guitar tones here are just so cool. They're iconic. First of all, you have that like crazy tremolo thing that they're doing at the opening of the song. You also have like that vibraphone part, which I think reading about it, I believe is guitar, and I think he's playing harmonics to kind of mimic a vibraphone, which I don't know how that works, but yeah, but like it's such a memorable song. The lyrics are great. It's just all around super memorable.
My number 7, I'm gonna go with you probably have been expecting him for a while. Prince. It's so hard to arrange my top 4 Prince songs here, but I'll go Purple Rain at number 7. Like I said in the album video, it was originally a country song. I don't know how it would have sounded as a country song. That kind of blows my mind. Wanted Stevie Nicks to sing it and write the lyrics. She was too scared. So when they were demoing it, Wendy Melvoin started playing some guitar, and 6 hours later, it becomes one of the great power ballads of all time. But I think calling it a power ballad is it's a little of a slight because that has negative connotations. This song is a little too good, a little too interesting. The guitar doesn't fit in the power ballad box. It's a little like subversive musically. There's some really cool chords in there. His solos are weird. There's some, it's built on like noise and muted notes and feedback and just it takes like what you'd expect and princifies all of it. And then it plays some achingly pretty parts too, and it soars into those upper frets. Epic experience, one of the best closing tracks of all time. Yeah, it feels wrong to have it all the way down at 7, but I don't know. I mean, I can't just have all the Prince songs at the top, can I?
My number 6 is Green Isaac by Prefab Sprouts. Just really interesting jazzy chord changes, but with like slightly more raw vocals than the rest of the record. The choruses on this track just explode with energy. Great interplay with the female backing vocals. I don't understand what's happening in the lyrics, but I love them. I think they're super interesting and really draw you in. And the whole walking backwards through rooms and things. I don't know what's going on, but great song.
My number 6, probably when we were doing the songs of the year videos, like this song wouldn't have been nearly as high on my list because I think just overplay kind of made me numb to it for a while. But I got Jump by Van Halen, and not hearing it on the radio every 10 minutes has made me just totally fall in love with it all over again. I love that opening synth, progression. The chord progression is amazing. It's so simple. It's so cool. Just the guitar work from Eddie, just throwing in like the little stuff here and there to amplify the synths and play off them is great. And then he throws in just a ridiculous guitar solo. The way it dissolves into the synth solo, love, just absolutely love that. I love when Deep Purple does stuff like that with the organ. Eddie's just doing it with himself here from guitar to synth. And just everything about this song is so good that hearing it so many times probably, just dulled my appreciation. But here and now, with, listening to so much music, this one just jumps out at me as just being a perfect song.
All right, my number 5 for you, it is Ice Queen. For me, it's Skin Deep is the Stranglers standout this year. I think it's the Stranglers' best pure pop song. I don't know how this isn't just like a staple on US radio. I don't know if it ever really was, but this should be. I mean, it's so catchy. It's such a good hook. It should be at least a staple of 80s nights everywhere, but I don't know how the US missed out on this. This song is
Right? You just talked about this one. I'm talking about it now. How soon is now? Right now. The Smiths. The immersive atmosphere. I didn't look up what Johnny Marr did for this, but I'll take your word for it. Whatever he's doing is just so, I don't know. It's just like as soon as you hear it, it's just like strike something in your soul because you'll never hear something like this ever again. And it's just so interesting. The slide or whatever he's doing, it's just so cool sounding. Like it is the coolest sounding guitar maybe ever. And on top of that, when I first heard this song when I was like, I don't know, 15 or 16, it is so emo and it just totally struck me. The lyrics, there's a club if you'd like to go, you could meet somebody who really loves you. So you go and you stand on your own and you leave on your own and you go home and you cry and you want to die. Is just so like slit your wrists perfect. Um, and Morrissey just nails it. Like he doesn't make it sound like cheesy and overblown. Like you feel like he's really doing this and it's really happening to him. My God, it hit so hard when I heard this for the first time. I was like, I screw all this emo bullshit. No dashboard confessional for me. I got the Smiths, baby. So, ooh, what a song.
Number 4 for me is Drive by the Cars. It's a great ballad. The synths and that snare sound together just sound so huge. It's like the ultimate 80s sound done to perfection and topped off with Ben Orr's stellar vocal performance. I think a lot of people didn't realize how much Ben Orr was singing in the Cars. Usually he sounds very much like Rick Ocasek, and here he sounds like a different singer, and just that like kind of really velvety, smooth voice just was a perfect fit for this song.
All right, my number four. I think I've talked about it before. Van Halen, when we did that, our very first video together. I'll Wait is my favorite Van Halen song, and I know that probably goes against what most people associate with Van Halen. It's a lot of synth on it. It's very icy. It's very not Van Halen-y. But kind of like Between the Wheels, it just has this vibe to it, and it's darker and it's, not the Van Halen you expect, but it just works so well. I love the drums on it from Alex Van Halen, really 80s sounding, different, and just a really, not that flashy guitar solo from Eddie Van Halen, but perfectly fits with what's going on. And I really like David Lee Roth's vocals on it as well. It's just perfect for me.
Well, I'm going back to back with the Cars here. At number 3, I'm going Hello Again. This is like Mutt Lange pretending he's Trevor Horn with all these like stat keyboard and horn stabs and like weird things jumping into the mix. And it's super maximalist in every way, but I think it's just like glorious 80s-ness and a great showcase for keyboardist Greg Hawkes. And the sound of the backing vocals on this is just like the Mutt Lange sound. It sounds like there's like 60 voices layered together in the background. It's just so massive, and I think it's just an incredible like headphone song. Like you put headphones on and it just, man, it's I just sit in awe of how the thing was put together.
I do love that one. My three, you'll see a theme here at the top. My number three is going to be When Doves Cry by Prince. It doesn't have a bass line, and that's so weird. It was a number one. It just shows that Prince can basically do whatever he wants, and it's going to turn out awesome. Just he had the magic touch in 1984. I'll do a Prince top 25 songs of 1984 list maybe as a bonus because he just everything he touched was perfect. The guitar heroics on this song are awesome. Just totally, shredding it on this like, skeletal funk song. His vocals are really cool. The lyrics are really cool. The imagery is awesome. And so it was a perfect song.
My number 2 is The Killing Moon by Echo and the Bunnymen. Hauntingly beautiful song. You got a mix of real strings and like string pads from a synth or a keyboard, and I think the drumming from De Fritas is great. Really unconventional parts, but everything comes together really well. Yeah, it's such a strange song, and for it to come together the way it does and still feel so accessible. Like it's really kind of remarkable. Like how weird can you make every part and still make it feel like a perfect pop song? That's kind of what they did here. So yeah, I love it.
All right, number two, let's see if you can spot the similarities. I'm gonna go with I Would Die for You. Prince again. And yeah, you said it. The driving synth, just that staccato, just so fast throughout. Another song that it's like Prince was like, "Hey, I'm gonna write the best synth pop song ever," and he did. And that was it. I, I love it. I love it's oh, it was almost my number one. I almost moved it to number one. I chickened out at the last second, but it is so good.
All right. My number one is an artist that was already on my list once and appearing a second time. I've got the Psychedelic Furs with The Ghost in You. I think it is an incredible piece of songwriting. Lyrically, I think it's certainly among the best of the year. I love the opening verse where he says, "A man in my shoes runs a light, and all the papers lied tonight, but falling over you is the news of the day." I think that is fantastic writing, and it continues throughout the rest of the song. The synth and the key parts are like the sounds are a little cheesy, but I think it's a perfect amount of cheese and kind of like this great like counterbalance to Butler's kind of rough voice, and the way he delivers the song is like really dry and somehow romantic at the same time, and the way he kind of pulls that off, that like coolness, but also with like such amount of feeling is I think great. So yeah, Ghost in You I think is killer.
Okay, all right, I'll take your word for it. My number one, same as it was. Let's Go Crazy. The leadoff track to Prince and the Revolution's Purple Rain, the greatest album of all time. And it's just the perfect intro to this album. That the sermon that he gives in the beginning, the dearly beloved, we gather here today to get through this thing called life. The whole thing is just really just sets the perfect tone for everything that goes on. And the song is just a really perfectly played pop song, some funk and R&B influence. He does a couple just awesome guitar solos. I mean, he just makes it seem so casual, just throwing in these incredible sounding guitar solos. I don't know, there's something about it. It gets me amped up, it gets me smiling, it gets me happy, makes me go crazy. And it's just a song I've always loved. It may not be his most interesting song on the album, but I think it's just the perfect track.
All right. Well, let us know what we missed. Drop your favorite songs of 1984 in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. Patreon and social media links in the description, so check those out as well. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.